Peace and love, y'all. We're going to get this cracking soon. We're going to go deep into the aspects of water. Welcome to the green stream. Peace, 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 y'all. What's going on? It's Masterpiece, Bro Sanchez, and we're here for the green streams. Thanks for tuning in. Brother Sanchez, thank you very much for being with us. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's going on, my brother Masterpiece? Thanks for having me once again. I'm excited for the show. I know you got a lot of powerful information as always. Shout out to everybody in the chat room.
Yeah, most definitely, most definitely. We are going to be going into the aspects of water today. And so let's not keep the people waiting. You know, I don't like going on videos and trying to get the knowledge and having to fast forward to find it. So let's dive right in. Last time we spoke about air. We talked about the importance of clean, fresh air, whether it be in your house, purified water, purified air, or outside in the forest or the mountain, whatever, and how important it is to breathe that in, and especially nasally through the nose, and deep belly breathing exercises as well, going deep. We talked about how breathing is the first form of nutrition, and how we breathe more than we drink or eat. And so it is of vital essence, the air. And I think it's fitting that we're doing it this way by different sections, just to give you guys the direct information so that when you click on these videos, you get what you're clicking on. So now we're going to go into the water and the many different topics of water. Before we start off, Bro Sanchez, what can you share with us about your knowledge and understanding about water and what water is?
Only I can share with you a whole bunch of stuff. And depending on what level you want to start on, you want to talk about water just on its biological connection with the human, or on a spiritual connection and all of that, because we know that the element that's prevalent and is life-giving is water. We can learn spiritual lessons from it as well. Bruce Lee said, be like water. So, I mean, what level we're going to attack it on starting off?
We're going to do the physical for the people, the physical.
One thing what I know about water is that it's programmable. It is a conduit of energy. And if we are over 70% water, then water is the water in our body acts like a medium to allow the outside vibration to enter the inside. So we can look at it as what is vibrating your water. How are you programming the water, the rivers through your body? Because all of the water that flows through you, if your river system, is your rivers polluted? How fast are your rivers running? Are there dams blocking it up? Stuff like that. So we start looking at the water that way in its relation to the body. And also, is your water polluted? Is it full of chemicals and stuff like that? You know, so we look at the waters of the earth and the waters of the body, and we think about what condition are we in and what we can do to ensure that we vibrate on a healthy level. So I'm gonna just pass the mic back to you, since that's something to open it up on, because we know water is very responsive to vibration.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, you can't send frequencies, electricity through any better medium. I mean, it's as soon as you put that electricity in the pool, it doesn't matter where you are, you're getting shocked seemingly at the same time. So it acts as one, and we call them bodies of water. And we know that the waters on this earth are living, and they're living within us as well. Now, you can have water that does stagnate and loses oxygen, and there's no motion in it anymore. And this is what we would refer to as ponds, right? You see all the fungus and all the biological life forms growing on the surface of the pond and underneath. Mosquitoes, they love ponds because it's still water. So there's no torrenting, there's no cycling. And if you notice, if you leave a glass of water out by your bedside at night, and then you wake up the next morning and you taste it, it'll taste heavy and metallic almost. All you need to do is just whisk it around, or like swirl it around, whirl it around, right? The whirl. And what that does is the folding of the water, it brings the oxygen back into it, and it gets little bubbles in there. And then when you drink it, it tastes much better than it did before. So you can invigorate water. You can, like Bro Sanchez says, you can charge water, you can program water. And that's been shown over and over again, and we're going to get into that. So there's different types of water that people want to go out and get. Some people drink their tap water because it's the best they can do. But we have to realize that most cities or townships have a closed water system. So anything that goes down your drain or down your toilet is going to end up back in the same source of your town water, whether it be through the soil and passes underneath the ground actually and comes back up. Water is so connected. A lot of people have wells, but you have to make sure that that well is going deep enough to actually get like an underground aquifer to get that fresh water. Otherwise, you're going to be using the same township water. Now, this water that we use in these cities that are closed off have, some studies say that there's as much as 300 different types of pharmaceutical drugs present in the tap water at any given time. There's estrogen and estrogen-like substances from the birth control pills and from menstruation. There's the feces factor that we all eliminate. And it simply just gets, treated. The water gets treated. It's kind of like the medical establishment. They're not curing the water, or they're not ridding the water of the disease or the poison. They're treating the water, just like they're treating your cancer and treating your diabetes. So it's a business. It's keeping you confused, stressed out. It's keeping your cells not able to communicate properly, and a whole host of other problems. Also leaching vital minerals from your bones. There's bottled water, and bottled water is in many different forms. I have one form of bottled water here. This is distilled water. Now, some people go out and get spring water, and it's bottled at source, and they say that that's possibly better. But anytime you put a warm or hot liquid into plastic, it's going to erode the plastic, and it's going to leach chemicals of that plastic, estrogen-like chemicals. They're actually sex. They mimic sex hormones into your water. So you want to get a water bottle that's filled up with like room temperature or cold water. Now, they don't, with the distilled water, they don't put the hot water right into the bottle. It does cool down. But there's spring water, which has minerals in it. There's mineralized water. And these two things with the minerals in it, we have to realize that it's kind of like putting rock minerals, like salt minerals, into your body. And while it's going to stimulate you, and it's going to neutralize pH and even raise the pH, it's not going to be bioavailable. It's not going to be absorbed by your body because it's a rock. And Dr. Sebi brought out in a lot of people's eyes, he brought the information forth that a process called iontrophoresis was the process by which a plant turns, or Dr. Sebi's thought was it turns the rock minerals into liquid minerals within the leaf and of the fruits and the vegetables. Okay, so the old school, the old paradigm of thinking was that if you have mineralized soil, that these minerals are going to break down and be absorbed by the plant, turned into a liquid. That's not what happens, but it is true that plant minerals are the only way we can get liquid minerals. So you want a liquid form of minerals. So you don't want mineralized water, okay? It's going to clog you up. There is sparkling water, which has carbon dioxide in it, and or it has a carbonation in it. And this carbon dioxide makes these bubbles, and it makes you feel gassy. It makes you feel fuller, faster, and you just burp out the excess gas. That's not my preference. My preference is distilled water for your everyday. Distilled water is charged in such a way where, as it goes through your body, it creates a vacuum-like effect where the heavy metals and minerals like tin, lead, mercury, is going to attract it out of your body's crevices into the distilled water, where you then flush it out. So it's a good way to keep, if you're eating fish with high mercuries and lead and tin in it, or if you're eating a lot of foods out of the can, or if you're drinking a lot of tap water, distilled water is a great way to get those heavy metals out of you and decalcify you. Distilled water also is very cheap. You can get like 2 of these for $2, and it's quite sufficient. So at this point, I'm gonna let you break in, bro, if you want to say anything or ask anything so far.
Yeah, let me ask you a quick question. Thanks, you was talking about the water treatment. And by the way, man, this is some good information too. So we know when we go and shopping exactly what kind of water to purchase. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of the water that's best for us end up being cheaper than all the other stuff. But one thing I wanted to ask you about was what is the difference between them? You went into it a little bit, distilled water, spring water, and all that. But can you talk a little bit more about alkaline water, because that's the most popular one, and where would it fit in its relation with the other ones?
Okay, well, that's very good question right there, and we have to tackle that. And peace to YouTube Court TV TM for that donation, that super chat. Knowledge/information debunks beef and drama all the time. Salutes, brothers. Yo, salutes, big time. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that, because these super chats actually help me have not only the confidence but the enthusiasm within myself to do these, and also create cool experiments that I ran out and I got some things to show you guys in a little bit. So this is gonna be exciting. Okay, alkalized water. Cool. Okay, so that's a big topic. First of all, let's start by debunking the medical industry, because the medical industry has actually put forth a lot of people in the community to debunk, quote unquote, alkalized water. They say that your stomach is acid. You know, you have stomach acid, and you need that stomach acid to break down food. And if you have alkalized water, then you're going to do a poor job at digesting your food, and you're going to develop types of cancers and other types of ailments. But let me just start right by saying this. First of all, we should never eat and drink at the same time. That is like, I don't know if, bro, you ever grew up and you had a grandma that ever, wouldn't let you eat and drink at the same time. My mom, that's how I was raised. Yeah, yeah. No?
My grandma allowed me to eat and drink at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah, my grandma allowed us to eat and drink at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Me growing up, I fought it. I wanted the orange juice with the meal and help wash it down with water or milk or whatever.
Oh yeah, we do the OJ in the morning with your breakfasts, and you're gonna wash down your dinner with some good old water. If not that, I like different juices with dinner too. You saying that when you're washing down your food at the table, that's a no-no?
That's a big no-no, because
you might want to talk to us, because I'm pretty sure almost 95% of the chat do that one. So go ahead and go in on them, brother.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you go to a fast food restaurant or any restaurant, and they give you, can I start with your drinks? That's why they always start with the drink, because you're supposed to start with a drink. But when you're going to get a burger and fries and a Coke, or a water or a juice with whatever you're eating, what's happening is you're diluting your stomach acid strength to digest that meal. So people in the chat, I know that this is a common practice for all of us, and especially for people with children, because we want to set our children off, our next generation off on the right foot. We're addicted, and we have formed habits that are deteriorating us, but they're just habits. So if we can teach the younger generation the better habits, then they're going to outlive us like they're supposed to, instead of like the findings in America being done, how, the life expectancy is actually shorter than the generations before. So never, or try hard not to eat while drinking. What you want to do is you want to drink your water, kind of fill up on water, and then maybe 20 minutes later, eat. and you'll notice that you will probably eat less because you kind of already feel full. And when your stomach is not digesting the food because it's diluted with water, think about it. If you're trying to erode something with acid, and you put it in a cup and you pour acid on top of it and it's starting to smoke up, if you pour water in it, you're going to smother out that effect. So you're going to dilute the effect of the acid. So you want that acid that I think it's sulfuric acid. You want it to break down your food as potently as possible, as quick as possible, because the longer the food stays in that climate, the more mucus is covering it, and the heat, the hotter it gets, it's going to start to ferment and break down and spoil. Okay? So we want the acid to be as strong as possible. So never drink or never feed your baby like a drink while they're eating food. Let them eat the food and digest it for 15, 20 minutes, half an hour, and then go back to the water or the drinking. Now, if the food sits there and it's broken down at a time where it's already fermented and covered in mucus and it's starting to spoil, then what you're going to be digesting is that same quality. So there's ways to maximize how you feel. A lot of times people go on a vegan diet and they don't feel good, so they go right off it. But or you go on a fast and you come off the fast and you feel terrible. There's certain things that we should be doing. For example, not drinking and eating at the same time. So yeah, that was that.
Yeah, that's gonna be something to get used to for a lot of us. So just something to keep in mind and just start practicing it and making it a habit. One thing what's gonna make it hard is oftentimes, when we eat, it kind of makes you kind of want to reach for that liquid to wash it down with. It's kind of like a pattern. It's kind of like, what I'm saying? I can't explain it. It's gonna be kind of different, I'm gonna tell you now. But I know it's doable, man. But that's some good, interesting stuff, man. Real talk. I don't think a lot of people know that. So, man, look, we may need to have you upload like a 5-10 minute video or something like, and I'm telling you, this will be a big video. What you would title it is "Why You Should Never Drink While Eating," and exclamation points. That's gonna get a lot of hits, and just teach them that right quick, because so many people gonna see that title and be like, yo, I know I drink while I'm eating, but why should I? And then, and you can even put dangerous. And guess what? People, because it is. And guess what? And then when they click on it, they're gonna be the same way we are, like, damn. You know what I mean? So that'll be dope right there to throw out there, man. Real talk. I think that needs to be singled out, because that's something everybody and their mama do.
Yeah, no doubt. And if we look in nature, it never happens. You never see a giraffe, like on those animal channels. You never see the giraffe with the head down drinking and then swing or rotate its neck, chew the grass, and then drink, and then chew the grass and drink. It never happens. The deer will always go eat the leaves, and then walk and walk and walk. And then it'll find a stream, and then it'll drink, and then it'll walk and walk and walk. So it's nature does.
Yeah, you're right. My dogs do that too. They'll eat their little dog food before they even touch the water, and then they'll finish that. And then when they finish eating, they just get their liquid behind it, and that be it. But they don't do it together. They do just like what you say the deer do. Yep.
Yeah, some people's dogs have picked it up, that habit, from the humans, and you can tell. I mean, these dogs are overweight, and I mean, people get animals and they just keep them in the house sometimes, and I feel horrible for them, but and anyways, so with the water and the alkaline, okay, if you're not eating, then the alkalinity of the water, it won't matter because your stomach is not producing acid. There's nothing to break down. So you're putting it in that, or in your stomach chamber, on a fresh stomach. Now, we just talked about if you drink alkaline water while you're eating, yeah, the alkaline water is going to make the pH of that acid go from like 2.3 to like say like a 7 or 8. Okay, that's going to quickly slow down the process. You might feel fuller longer, but what's going to happen is you're actually preparing yourself for more diseases later because the food's not broken down. Now, rainwater is slightly acidic, and that waters all of the plants, and it fertilizes and it sustains the nature. It's slightly acidic, okay? Your skin is slightly acidic. So it depends on what you want the alkaline water for. If we're drinking it on empty stomachs, then yes, I definitely agree with alkaline water. And if you're a pretty acidic person, if you're eating a lot of fast food and maybe you got some extra pounds on you and you really want to make the change, I would start, with some 7 pH, next week 8 pH, maybe 2 weeks later go to 9, and go slowly so that you don't feel those effects of being alkalized, like alkalosis. Now, what I would recommend for alkaline water, because the water on the shelf that's sold to you as alkaline water was alkaline, but over time, sitting on the shelves, the molecules have worked their way back together, and it's now less of a pH. There's antioxidants, there's hydrogen in alkaline water when it's first made. But day after day, week after week, the potential goes down. Okay? So you want fresh made ionized alkalized water. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to share at this point a screen, because I set it up in order to show y'all just what I mean. Okay, so with alkaline water, the molecules are much smaller, okay, when you have ionized alkalized water, and we're going to talk about what ionized alkaline water means. But I'm just going to quickly show you this video, and it's going to explain to you the power of alkaline water.
It's a dark oil. I want to use sesame seed oil so you can actually see.
He's got an oil, dark oil.
Pour a little bit in this cup.
He pours water, oil in each cup.
I'm going to fill up a cup with tap water.
He fills one cup with tap water.
Do not mix. As you can see, tap water.
And as you can see, the oil and the water doesn't mix.
Do not mix.
Okay?
Separate.
The particles are too big. There's too much filth in the tap water. The microclusters aren't small enough. Now look.
Strong Kangen water, 11.5 pH.
Now we got 11.5 pH ionized water.
pH. Super antioxidant rich.
Freshly made, full of antioxidants.
Actually has.
And look what happens, guys. It turns into like a coffee, like a cream. Isn't that amazing?
So this is
Is that not amazing?
It's amazing because nature created water to do just that. Nature created water to constantly cleanse us. Just like excuse me, I got a dang on truck passing by. But yeah, what I was saying was all of the rivers, all of the way the water flow through the earth, it cleanses the earth. It constantly renews the earth. And the water that they giving us don't do that to us. It's like they took us. So we're drinking GMO water. That's GMO water because water don't. That tap water is not a creation of nature. And this is what I want you to talk about, Masterpiece. That tap water is a creation of man, and how naturally our water would be constantly cleansing us like we see the Cajun water do. But people that's drinking tap water only doing it to quench their thirst. They're not doing it to really cleanse their body like what we was drinking water in its natural state. It was more than just quenching the thirst. You know what I'm saying? So like this here shows us visibly why I buy Cajun water. And watching this, it reconfirms to me why I spend a little bit more just to get the high pH, man. It's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if we think about it, right? That was oil. And we have fat deposits from meat and overcooked chicken and oxtail and cow tongue soup and goat head soup and curry goat and all this mucus forming flesh. And the oil, I mean, you know how it is when you cook some meat in a pan, and the leftovers you put it in a fridge, like you put your meatloaf in a fridge, and then the next day it's like lard, like this hard, greasy. I just touched it like a month ago for the first time in like 8 years, and I couldn't believe that I had that in my body as a child, eating oxtail fried up like that from 5 years old, 6 years old. You know, these cultural diets, these traditional diets, quote unquote, will kill you quick. They'll put you in a grave quick. Trust. But if we look at that Kangen water, at how it just broke down that oil and completely emulsified it into like a cream, that's what's happening in our bodies. Okay, so if you're on that Kangen water or ionized water, alkaline ionized water, I like to say that because the Kangen technology is a little old, but still, as you can see, it still gets the job done. You can find these machines, people, on Craigslist, on Kijiji, or eBay. Amazon. You can find them used if you like. Now, there's one company that I personally would buy from. I paid this company to be a distributor for them. I don't have a machine. I haven't even sold a machine, but when I buy it, the cost will be less because you pay $50 to be like a distributor, and then you get like hundreds of dollars off the machine. Okay, so that's the only reason I did it. So I'm not promoting them, but the only company I would buy from is Life Ionizers, just simply based on the tech alone. What an ionizer does, because you're gonna go look up Kangen water and you're gonna see ionized water, and you're gonna get confused because there's so much out there. I've done the arduous searching, and in my opinion, my humble opinion, Life Ionizers is the best. They're California based. They're not even in Canada, but they do ship to Canada. I'm sharing it with you guys right now. These are the ionizer machines. Okay. Now, what it does is there's platinum plates inside, and through electrolysis, it splits the minerals in your water. Okay, now this is a term that most people haven't heard before. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. This is Life Ionizers. The prices you may find pretty steep. I mean, this is 2,000. This is 25, whatever. But I mean, it's just lifetime warranties and it's super beneficial. Okay, so enough of that. Enough of that promo. No, but I really do believe that is the best company. What happens is the plates, the platinum plates inside, they separate. It shocks the water and it polarizes the water. So it puts the alkaline minerals on one side and the acidic minerals on the other side. You know, the sulfurs, stuff like that, the stuff that shouldn't be there, the leads, the mercuries, anything that's in your water, and it pushes them to an acidic side. So you can use that acid water to wash your face and skin with because your skin is acid. You can water your plants with it because your plants like slightly acidic water. And the alkaline water you can drink, and that's composed of the minerals that were split, like the calcium, magnesium, sodium, and potassium. Okay, those are the four main alkalizing minerals. If you were to add those minerals to your water, it would increase pH. So a term that a lot of people haven't heard of is acid-free alkaline water, because I can take tap water here, and this is very important, people. And Bro Sanchez, I'm gonna pass you the mic after this. Acid, if you get a tap water and you add magnesium, potassium, calcium, and sodium, like salt, to it, or if you even add like pink salt to it, then it's going to raise pH, and it could take it from a 6 to a 7, and you'll say it's neutral, or it can go from a 7 to an 8, and you'll say, oh, it's more alkaline. But is it acid-free? What's the point of alkalizing my water with these minerals if there's still 300 types of pharmaceuticals, there's still estrogen and sex-like hormones, plastics, oils, tin, lead? What's the point of having a high pH if that's still in there? So ionized water is split water. That's how I think of it. It's split. It splits it from acid, the acidic substances, with the alkalized substances, and you can choose which one you want. And I'll pass the mic to you at that point.
Hey, do you have shower filters?
Yes.
Because, you know, that's one thing I think we need to talk about as well, man. I got shower filters, and a lot of people getting into the alkaline water and all of that, but they probably forget that, hey, you might want to get you know, shower filters, and get you some filters in your kitchen sink, because you're cooking with that water. You rinsing stuff off with it, or you showering in this water, and your skin is getting the same thing. So yeah, you want to talk just briefly on filters. I'm gonna tell you, because when I first bought shower filters for the house, I thought it was, you know, filtering the water, but the particular filters that I bought was only taking out the fluoride and nothing else. So it's like you gotta really be reading what all the filter take out, man. It's, you know, when you go and buy it, because they're expensive. But if you want to talk about filters for a minute, you can, because that's important too, I think.
Yeah, definitely. So the filtered water is always great. Okay, I mean, first of all, let's be real. It's filtered water. I mean, even if it's just a Brita filter, you know, it's still trapping some things in that water, in that filter. The thing is that from township to township, from city to city, state to state, province to province, the water is different. So buying a general filter is good, and I definitely recommend it. If it's not going to put you out, hey, even if it does put you out a little bit, it's better because, like Bro Sanchez says, when you're in the shower, you're breathing that water in, you're digesting it, swallowing it, and it's also absorbing through your skin. Up to 10 ounces. That's like 10 shots. So when you're cooking rice, the rice is absorbing all of it, the potatoes, the lentils. So I saw this one video one time where a lady had some water, and she put some chlorine drops in it, and it made the water yellow because it detected that there's chlorine in it. So the drops she put in made the chlorine visible. Then she cut up some peppers, like some bell pepper, put it in the water, and the water went clear. The pepper had absorbed the chlorine out of the water that she was then going to give to her kids. So filtering your water is a must. There are some companies that custom build a filter for your specific township. And one of those companies is Life Ionizers. Again, another reason why I'm planning on purchasing, because I buy ionized water all the time, but I want one in my household. So I'm saving up for it. And, the super chats, they definitely help me get there. I'm putting that money aside, and I'm definitely putting it to the benefit. And having a custom filter for your town's water is so key. So what you would do is you would go online to like Life Ionizers or a similar company that sends like custom builds a filter, and they'll analyze your town water. And based on your town water, they'll give you like 3 filters, like a pre-filter and 2 other filters, to specifically trap the toxins in your water. So definitely look into that.
Yeah, man. To the people in the chat room, much love to y'all, man. It's a lot of good energy in the chat room. Um, High vibes and vibrations out there, man. Appreciate y'all. Oh, I see you out there, Shinobi. Shinobi got a debate tonight on Flat Power TV. He'll be debating against Geoscriber from the Non Sequitur show. So I'm gonna go over, that's gonna be something we're gonna do a better job moderating than they did, but that's just something to look forward to. Y'all want to join us over there? That'll be at 8 o'clock Pacific time tonight. But yeah, man, talking more about water, and shout out, oh my bad, shout out to the brother, back to your roots, man. I gotta shout the brother out. A lot of people in the chat room showing us love, and they love these green streams, man, and I appreciate you guys. We appreciate it. So Masterpiece, let me ask you this, man. I want to go back and skip back earlier when you was talking about the water treatment, and how they treating this tap water and stuff that most of the world drinking. And I hate to be the one to go ahead and go here, but can you talk a little bit about the filth of the tap water? I know we pretty much know better than to drink tap water, but can you just kind of scare us a little bit, man, and go into how we drink it? Like, because every time it always blow my mind to hear you name all that stuff out, like pharmaceuticals, and it ain't like we cleansing it. Like, what would have been a better process in nature as opposed to treatment versus healing the water we drink? And why the hell there's so many water treatment plants? And what would have been a natural way versus the water treatment plant where we just re-drinking our own pee and all of this stuff, because that's just nasty, bro.
Yeah. So first of all, they don't clean the pipes. Okay. what they'll do often is, like, in my town, sometimes they'll send out a letter and they'll say, don't use the water from this day to this day because we're treating it. So there's going to be an excess amount of chlorine in the water or bleach at this time. So basically, without our consent, they just treat the water by dumping a bunch of bleach in it, which what it does is it kills the pathogens, the bacteria that wreak havoc in our bodies. I mean, along with the fact that, like, these pipes were built in the 1920s, 1940s, you know what I mean? You check out when your town was established and when their waterways were established, and just knowing that there hasn't been something to scrub through those pipes and polish it, and there hasn't been new pipes laid. Just think about how many years of buildup are in those pipes. Now, all the town's water sinks into the reservoirs, and they go into the back to the town's water storage facility and treatment facility, and they store it in their cisterns as it's getting treated, and then they deliver it back into the town. So it's a cycle. But there, first of all, bleach, it doesn't kill estrogen, and it doesn't kill lead and mercury and pharmaceuticals. So, you know, people are developing, you know how they say this pharmaceutical may cause 15 types of side effects. This pharmaceutical might cause 3 types of side effects. Say 300 different types of pills causing each 3 different types of side effects. Think about, I mean, what is that, 900? 900 different types of side effects. We are consuming that and developing problems that aren't our own. It's like, oh, you developed this problem. How? I mean, you eat great. And yeah, but I live off the town water, and everybody's pharmaceuticals and medicine is going into my body, and it's sticking in to the mucus and the fat and the oils. So when they treat the water, it's not to clean it from those bad things that I just mentioned. It's to kill germs so that you don't get like E. coli or, you know, some sort of bacteria. So you put bleach in a cup full of ants. Okay, I put a bunch of ants and I fill it up with bleach. It killed the ants, but the bodies of the ants are still there. So it killed the pathogens, it killed the E. coli, it killed the feces traces, but the traces are still there. The corpuscles are still there. And so they're going to go into your body, into the mucus, into the oil from the beef and the dairy, into the fats, and it's going to stay there indefinitely. When you fast, sometimes people, there's been cases, I have a good book right over there, actually. I should actually show you guys that book. There's been cases where people fast, and prescription drugs that they took 10, 20 years ago was loosened off in the mucus, and, you know, the body was cleaning itself, and it passed through the system again. It was still there. And they kind of felt the anxiety, like they just took their old medication, because it had stored itself away into the deep crevices to protect our body. And then now that you're fasting, you're letting it all out. And then you're like, whoa, what was that? That was my pharmaceutical drug that I took 10 years ago. So the tap water, guys, I mean, like, I can't stand tap water. When you drink distilled water for 2 days, and then you go back to the tap water, you'll immediately see the difference. With distilled water, for those that don't know, you can drink it. It's like you can't drink it fast enough. It's absorbing in you just as fast as you're drinking. It's like and it quenches your thirst so much more, and there's no taste, and it's very thin. So do the test yourself. Go out and get some distilled water, give it to your kids, load them up with it, and vacuum out those pharmaceuticals, those leads, those heavy metals. You know, get on the clean water.
Hey, let me ask you something about this too. Now, I'm glad we covered all of the essentials surrounding water and what we need to know pretty much, because where we don't even think we had an hour at, and you pretty much gave us everything we need to know to go and plot immediately to lead us on the right direction and decisions to make as far as water. So we can share this and anything anybody got to know as far as what kind of water and how they need to be drinking it. The brother covered a lot of corners here. Just rewind this. And one thing Masterpiece do too, Masterpiece watch damn near all his shit and 1.52 double speed. I know you be, yeah. I noticed that about you. But you know, one thing I want to ask you too, man, about water that may be kind of going like into more the esoteric side of it. This may make me look stupid, but let me quit playing and go and say it. It's a lot of ocean water on Earth. What? And it's way more ocean water than like lakes and rivers and all of that. So like, why aren't we able to drink salt water, brother? And like, why you know, exactly why when we be dehydrated, they inject us with saline water, and that's kind of like salt water. If we can't drink salt water, like I always couldn't make the connection about why so much salt water, but then when you dehydrate it, you can drink it, but when you know what I'm going with it, like
Yeah. Good point. Good point. No one's ever asked me that before. So too much of anything is a bad thing, right? I mean, like you can eat 50 oranges right now and you will be on the toilet for like the next 2 days and you'll be burning up. Okay. Salt water with the salinity, the saltiness of the ocean, that's going to dry you out like putting salt on a slug or a snail. You know, the snail's membrane, that mucousy membrane, that's like having its like insides on the outside, kind of like a turtle or an ant's skeleton on the outside. You know what I mean? It depends on that mucus, that slug, to keep it around, and it produces it out of its body. And if you put salt on it, it just shrivels right up and dries right out. So if you drink that salt water, you're now doing the reverse. You know, the slug's mucous membrane is on the outside, our mucous membrane is on the inside. So if you were to fill up a bunch of salt and water, not even from the ocean, just yourself, and you drink that, that's gonna dry your whole mechanism out down there. And that mucus, not the mucus, but the saliva that's needed to keep things gelling, you know, and slippery, that is going to dry right up. When you get a throat sore, the first thing you should do is gargle salt water, pink salt. But if you swallow it accidentally, you feel like throwing up. You're like, oh, ooh. It's doing a good job at sanitizing the pathogens out of your throat, but too much of it right into your stomach is going to just dry it right out and just cause very bad effects. Now, when you're dehydrated and they're saving your life and they're putting you on the table and whatever, they'll give you salt water, or they'll give you saline water, same thing, and because of its conductive powers, okay? Because salt conducts. And I am so happy that we get to First of all, does that make any sense?
Yeah, it's making a lot of sense.
Okay, great. So now we're gonna move into an experiment that I put together for you guys because you guys are just great with the super chats and everything like that, and I feel like I can really put that to use. So first of all, to the brother that donated just now, thank you so much. Flat Earth Trini, what's going on? He says, great information, guys. What do you think about iodine drops? Okay, I'm gonna have to get in. I won't forget that. Or can you write that down, bro? Or maybe I will.
Yeah, I got them written down for you already. You got
Okay.
training with the iodine drops, and the sister Nancy DeVilla want to know, does baking soda reverse the body's pH? I'm writing them down for you, so you can go back to them. I got a list.
Oh, okay, great. And thank you so much, Nancy, and thank you so much, Flat Earth, Trini. And back to your roots herbs. Don't stop what you're doing, my brother. We all need this information. Much love and abundance of respect. And a brother before, I think his name was Ryan, he dropped me a $2. Yeah, Ryan Toombs, thank you so much. He says, we need this. Peace, masterpiece, and growth. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, I'm so happy that we got to talk about the conductivity of water because I went out and I got a voltmeter. Okay, this is this measures the conductivity of whatever you're putting it in. You can put these two things into your outlets. Okay, you put it into the two prongs of your outlets, and you're gonna get a reading on the meter here. Okay, now I'm gonna turn it on. There we go. And I am going to set out here 2 cups of water. Now, this is distilled water, and this is water with salt in it, okay? And just to show you guys, I got some pink salt, pink Himalayan salt, and I'm just gonna add some of it in here. Just gonna pour it all in there, okay? Pour it in. All right. I could mix it up or not, it doesn't matter. Mix it. Okay, now let's look at the voltage meter while I do this, okay? So I'm gonna drop these 2 into the distilled water with no salt. And we're gonna look at the meter. You see a little bit of movement. You see a little bit of movement there. See that? You see that, bro?
Yeah, I do see it moving. Yep.
Okay. Now let's watch it when I put it in the salt water. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm. Damn. Smoky voice. Yo, it jumped tremendously.
Tremendously. So distilled water, because remember, distilled water has no minerals in it, right? It has nothing in it, no sodium, nothing. But adding the minerals, especially the sodium, the salt, is going to boom, just make you conductive, and gonna make you electric, and people won't be able to resist your aura and your magnetic pull. Okay, I hope you guys really enjoyed that experiment. That really blew my mind the first time I saw it, because now I know that I can drink distilled water to vacuum out those heavy minerals and metals out of my body. But if I want to have more energy, get those electrolytes in, maybe I'm gonna shoot some hoops, or maybe I'm gonna I gotta stay up late, or maybe I'm working a shift or something. I'm gonna just take a dash of salt and put it in there, boost my conductivity so that my cells can transfer that information better. So that here's one thing that most people also may not know. A pool of water, a body of water, you can put live electricity into that water, and you may not get shocked. But if it's just your regular tap water or a water burst or a pool and it's got the chlorines and the salts in it and whatever, it's going to be conductive, right? A lot of lightning storms happen over oceans, but very rarely over lakes or ponds. So yeah, the saltiness of the water, it helps to relay the charge. And okay, I'm gonna stop there, but no, I'm not. This is exactly what happens with the soil, because we're kind of going into the more esoteric, beyond the physics and metaphysics. This is what happens in the soil, okay? If this was soil with all of its minerals and nutrients in it, the potassium, the manganese, the iodine, the chromium, all of it, you could put a seed in that soil, but it won't grow until you water it. Now, a seed has a special mechanism where it won't sprout until it's submersed in water, and then it drops an enzyme inhibitor that says, hey, now you can sprout. That's why they always say soak your seeds and nuts before you eat them. Okay, you want to soak your seeds so that you can, when you soak your almonds overnight, when you soak your sunflower seeds overnight, it tells whatever produce, whatever seed, it says, okay, now you can sprout. Now you can spring into action and start your life journey. So that's why eating sprouted seeds is much better and much more healthy. But what I say that to say this: if you drop that seed in the soil and then you water it, what's happening is that water is now taking the potassium from here and the chromium from here and the calcium from here, and it's making it one body of water. This salt water is not potassium here and chromium here and sodium here and iodine there. It's all of it. It's all now connected by that water. It's like when they're blowing up a quarry and they set the dynamite charges along the ridge where they want to detonate. If you keep them separated, they won't fire off in a line. Boom, 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 boom. And you won't get that effect for the quarry to free up the minerals. That cord that connects the detonators, that is the water that connects the charge. And then the plant, it doesn't feed off of the soil. The plant transmutes the minerals from the air. A plant is a respiratory creature. It is a breathing creature. It's a breatharian. It's not a digesting thing. The tree doesn't take up soil and then shit it out. Excuse my language. It doesn't poop out anything. There's no residue that comes out. You know what I mean? There's nothing to excrete. What's happening is, because the minerals are found in the ground, enough to ground the charge, the tree that looks like lightning, by the way. All plants and trees look like lightning, energy. Because it's in the ground and it has water to connect all these minerals together, it can now absorb the minerals in the ground. It can now absorb from the air what is found in the ground. Okay? So if there's iodine and calcium and chromium in the ground, then the tree root has something to ground that charge to. So now it can grab the calcium because it has a calcium ground. It can grab onto the magnesium because it has that magnesium ground. And it synthesizes it through the breathing of the trees. It takes in the minerals through the air, and then it pushes out a cleaner, refined air. Because why does it take in carbon dioxide or one kind of air and then push out a cleaner quality of air because it's just absorbed and held on to those minerals. So that's something for people to think about when they're talking about soil depletion and rotating crops and all that.
And just something for you guys, when you think about the experiment he showed you about the water and basically putting the salt in the water. One thing y'all can do if you want a quick recipe, if you got a pen and paper, I can give you a quick recipe. What I do, this is a recipe for something called Soleil, and this will help you out. So how you make Soleil is you get a regular size mason jar and you fill it about 1/4% with Himalayan pink salt, and then you put the rest distilled water, and then you want to tighten that and let it sit for 24 hours. And you want to tighten it with a plastic lid because if you use the metal, you know the salt's going to erode it. So let that sit for 24 hours, and then every morning on an empty stomach, you wake up and you open that up and you use, again, you want to use a plastic spoon because if you use your silverware, the salt will erode that over time. So take your teaspoon of that Soleil and put it in like a little coffee cup or something and fill up the rest with water and then drink that every morning on an empty stomach, and that will make you electric. That'll make you vibrate like what he showed you on the device.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's great. The Soleil salt, when you were talking about plastic, and there's people out there that may not use a plastic spoon or whatever. The metal will be eroded. Also, the metal and the stainless steel, it wants to give off its charge, so it actually alters your food and it alters the structure of water in your food and in your water. So when you're feeding your child or whatever, try to get bamboo or wood. So when you're making the Soleil salt, yeah, get the bamboo or the wood spoon or whatever. And then what you can also do, yes, definitely do that in the early morning. It's going to make you electrical. It's going to wake you up, and it's going to help get the parasites and the bacteria out of there. It's going to push it further down. You're going to be able to eliminate it much more easily. And then also try this. Take some of that Soleil salt and put it in a little spray bottle, like a little cosmetic spray bottle. And when you're eating your food, spray your food with that. That way, you don't get a concentration of the salt here and it's unbalanced and you're pouring it out. You just add a couple sprays and it coats the food a lot better when it's misted.
I got a question. We're gonna go to the Nancy Davila if you want to hop on that. I hope y'all getting this information, man. That we're dropping, and appreciate y'all once again. The sister want to know, does taking baking soda reverse the body's pH level? Shout out to Nancy Davila.
It does. It does. It temporarily raises the body's pH. Remember, the blood has a range of pH like 0.2. Like it's like a 0.2, 0.3 range that it can't deviate out of. So you're always sacrificing. Your blood is always being sacrificed, and that's what they talk about, the sacrifice of the innocents in the Bible, because your blood is literally always, your body's always compensating to keep your blood as clean as possible. So when you take that baking soda, all the water in there, all the systems that it touches, it's going to up the pH, and it's going to up the pH of your water. And when that sodium bicarbonate comes into contact with something like candida, or it's gonna eat away at it. I mean, it's gonna just eat away at it. You definitely want to find an aluminum-free, gluten-free baking soda. There's definitely different types of baking soda out there. One's you just want to put in your fridge. One's for internal use. And I that's something that you can definitely start by doing is the baking soda, increase the pH a little bit. But like I said, you want to do it to a clean water, like a distilled water. And you also want to do it maybe in just like kind of like a upkeep or an emergency situation. The point is of these green streams is to have the body create and do everything for you. No more outside anything. So yeah, I recommend that if someone's has acidosis or mucus or like a cyst or some sort of a candida, I would definitely recommend that because we see what it does to your teeth. It's abrasive, it's alkalizing, it's got that scrubby effect. So yeah, definitely good one.
What are some ways, Masterpiece, what are some other ways we can get high amounts of water into our body without drinking it? We know watermelon is very high in water. Basically, like any kind of fruits in particular, stuff along them lines you want to talk about?
So what are the best fruits to eat in general or for?
I guess we pretty much know that fruits and all vegetables and fruits is nothing but a form of hydration. It's like what is watermelon is what 70% water, and that's amazing because you think of how massive it is. But so it's like nature put us on a liquid diet, so to speak. You know what I mean? So I guess that's what it's all going back to, staying hydrated. Because if you say you're a vegan, you're drinking tons of water, you eating a lot of raw veggies and raw fruits. So you ain't really eating a lot because I bet you your stomach is just so full of so much damn liquid all the time.
Yeah. Well, actually, you heard the term grazers. A lot of vegans are grazers. It's they eat, they're satisfied, but because the food is so bioavailable and it's so chemically balanced to nourish our bodies for that period of time that it's in there, it digests so quick. So you have an apple and you get filled up because there's so much fiber in it. There's no fiber in meat or dairy, so your brain doesn't know when you're getting full, and then you overeat. So you eat an apple and you kind of get full. Maybe you feel like you got to go to the bathroom because it's pushing and it's scrubbing, and then you have some grapes and you go to a watermelon, and so it's like a constant. People say, "Oh yeah, I went vegan and I was hungry all the time," or they went vegan and they just couldn't stop eating. Well, that's a phenomenon that happens because when you transition to a vegan diet, a clean diet. Now, vegan diet doesn't mean a healthy diet. Let me just say that right now. You can be vegan and eat fast food every single day. You can go to Taco Bell and get beans instead of beef, guacamole instead of sour cream, and lettuce instead of cheese, and build a taco and a fry supreme that way. And you can go to Burger King and get their veggie or vegan, you know what I mean? You can be a fat, unhealthy vegan. Now, what's happening when you go to a plant-based whole foods diet and you incorporate a lot of the fruits and vegetables in, and you're drinking a lot of waters and you're getting the water from the fruits and the berries, your body is relieving chemicals and of your own waste, chemicals from your own waste, dead membrane, dead cells, white cells, which are dead cells, useless cells, by the way. Don't let them make you think that white blood cells are a good thing. But your body is always shedding, always, like the woman's womb. It's always continuously shedding off the layers. And so when you go to a healthier diet, you say, I always felt full. But if you can hold out long enough, there's less and less waste to get rid of. So you're feeling your stomach shed less and less of its waste, and soon you're just in bliss and you're satisfied, and you eat that salad and you're good. Like you could have one meal a day.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And that explains why our ancestors were so lean and in shape, you know. I also was thinking about what we were saying about the salt in the water. And I was thinking about when I was in the military and I used to play sports when I was young, they used to push that Gatorade in us like a mug, man. And once you drink that stuff, you did feel that charge, like what you showed on your thing. Now we know that the Gatorade got the salt in it for you. They put the electrolytes in it. Why wouldn't we want to use the Gatorade though to get that effect?
The Gatorade is doing it through it's an artificial means. It's a stimulation. Okay, there's obviously salt and minerals in the Gatorade, but with the color and the flavorings and you know what I mean, all that extra stuff that you don't need, you know, I doubt we would drink it. I doubt we would drink it as much if it wasn't like this unreal blue and this unreal intense red and orange. You know what I mean? Uh, it's just like meat. It's just like beef and people that work out and they're big. You're overstimulated. It's just stimulation. It's like coffee. It's like having coffee in the morning. You say to someone, hey, I drink distilled water with a little bit of Soleil salt in it, or pink salt or whatever. Soleil is definitely much better. And I feel a kick in the morning and I'm good and I'm bright-eyed. Or I drink lemon juice because lemon juice has the minerals in it to be conductive, right? So you squirt some lemon in your water, boom, you get that boost. Someone says, oh, I get coffee, I get that boost off coffee. But then what happens with the coffee? You get the jitters, you know, you start looking over your shoulder and you have a crash. So there's an effect happening. So there's something being taken out and not replaced. So with the Gatorade, if you got kids in your sports or if you go out and play ball or whatever you play, and you reach for that Gatorade, then you're going to actually just be dehydrating yourself because your body doesn't want that. And while you feel that stimulation, you're gonna crash. So that's why I would recommend against it.
Yeah, it's like they pump the players full of that stuff just to get the most out of them on the field, but the players pay for it later. Yeah, that's crazy. Um, what are some of the dangerous effects of dehydration? Like what starts happening to the brain and all of that once the body becomes dehydrated?
Okay. Have you ever had uh say you have like cotton mouth, like a dry mouth, and because of it you can't taste anything?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. I can relate.
Yep. Or when you got a cold or something and you got a dry nose and you can't taste anything. This is because the water, again, it goes back to the water. The water connects, right? So if your mouth is moist and your nose is moist, then it's going to connect those two senses. And now you can taste what you're eating. Now, the water, like we showed with the salt, there's calcium here, potassium here, iodine over here, but the water connects it all. They say there's 100 trillion cells in your body. And they are all suspended in water, in fluid. As a baby, you're suspended in the amniotic fluid. So the water is connecting us. The brain needs to connect to the nerves. The nerves need to connect to the tissues. You know what I mean? We're all one thing. Don't believe the doctors out there when they tell you that your body has different systems. Like your respiratory system works on its own, and you got to do something about your circulatory system because that's its own thing. And then the skeletal system, that's its own thing. No, it's all one. So if you're dehydrated, first of all, you're going to start to feel the headaches. And they say that when you're wandering around in the desert and you're dying of dehydration, it feels like the worst hangover that you've ever had. When you go to a night of drinking, that alcohol is dehydrating your body. You wake up the next morning dehydrated, and you have a pounding headache, your stomach hurts, you're jittery because you have no water. So the less water in you, the more the cells are starved. Think about it. Your cells are moving around, okay? It's moving around your body. They're dancing around. They're taking this information from here. They're transporting it there. They're saying, yo, you got to duplicate as that. I'm going to duplicate as this. I'm going to add on to this guy, and we're going to do some things over here. Oh, there's an intruder. We're going to go, deal with that. If there's no water for them to swim around in, how are they going to communicate? They're going to be like, yo, there's like an intruder over there. You can't hear me. He's too far. You know what I mean? There's nothing. There's no fluid. It's like playing air hockey on a table that's switched off. It doesn't have that fluidity. And so we need the water in us for everything to function and to communicate with each other. That's why.
Now I'm finna hit you with something else from left field, just to catch you off guard. When Bruce Lee say, "Be like water," how does Masterpiece interpret that great quote?
Well, he was saying, "Be as water," because when you put the water in the cup, it becomes the cup. It holds the shape of the teapot. And when you pour it out, it's formless, and then it goes back into the shape of whatever it's in. So the way I interpret it as be fluid. When he's talking about it in his kung fu, you can see he doesn't put his hands up really. He doesn't. He's not like this. He doesn't go into fights like this. And he says that he doesn't clench his fist until right before the impact. He doesn't throw a fist at you. So that's because if you're committed to the fist and the opponent switches up, you're already committed in, and you're gonna, you got to go through with it now. So be fluid, be like water. Always be willing to change. If he comes at you from the left, always be ready to, to switch up the technique and to take the opportunity when you can. When it comes to life and spirituality and day-to-day living, it's about not having any expectations and not saying, I'm gonna do this. I said it, I think last time. If you want to tell God a joke, tell him you have plans. You know what I mean? Because life is gonna do what it does. And if you have expectations and obligations and rules and stuff that you set up and that you would agreed to, then you're gonna be putting yourself in a lot of stress. That's the Rastas. They say no obligation. They smoke the thing and it's like no obligation. Man, them can't tell me none. I do on my own time. You know what I mean? Because it's just it's being free like water to do what you want or need to do when you want or need to do it. Just be fluid. Like the flat earther or the truth seekers. It's flat, okay. We come and we find out it's a cube. We got the sign, okay. You know what I mean? Be fluid with your prejudices. Be fluid with your prejudgments, your preconceptions, and all of it. That's how I take it as.
Yeah, that's some good advice, man. Um, I think somebody in the chat room, when we was talking about the Gatorade, they might have had a child or something that's an athlete. I know many of us do. We know these coaches gonna pump them up full of that stuff. But they was like, do you have anything you would recommend for a young athlete?
I mean, I just seriously, water, water, water. If you're playing, if you're physically, like say you're working out, or say you're playing sports, your body when you have food. Out here. No, I'm just hanging out, just talking to the people. My daughter's here. So when you got there, she is. Say hello. Hi. I want to have her all on camera and all that. Okay, so when you're working out or when you're exerting energy, you you don't want your body to go into the what is called the parasympathetic state. Okay, where it means that you're now it's like it says sympathetic. You're now expecting more food. You've now stopped the detox and the storage, and you have now went into eating. Your body thinks that now you're ready to sit down and have a meal. So that's why you don't feed like a fruit juice or eat in the middle of a game. You know what I mean? When you go to the bench and whatever. So if you want like superior hydration for your child athletes while they're on the field, okay, while they're in the game, before the game, after the game. Before the game, you could put some Soleil salt or some salt in the water just to kick it up a bit. But then again, that's those minerals that we were talking about, right? So what I'm going to get into is something called a solar tea. But please remind me about that, the solar tea. Now with the athletes, all you want to do is give them that water, that alkalized water, that ionized water that we were talking about before, because the molecules of the water is much smaller, and we saw what it did to the oil. So it's going to penetrate these children's capillaries and nerve endings and fat deposits, and it's going to move their lymph nodes around, and it's really going to hydrate them. So ionized water is definitely by far, in my opinion, the best way to go to give your child energy without a crash. Because you can't give someone energy. You can't increase their energy. All you can do is remove the obstruction of the energy that they have, that vital life energy that we all have. You can't give it to somebody. All you can do is remove what's obstructing it and getting in the way.
That's what's up right there. And we could touch more on young athletes maybe at some time in the future, because I know a lot of y'all got children that play sports. And I never ever even thought about that. Like, you may try to do the right thing at home with your children, but then they gotta go to school and it's milk and all kind of bull crap. And then if they play sports, they pumping them full of Gatorade because the schools and the colleges got a contract with Gatorade and Coca-Cola, so they're gonna give them that poison. But yeah, so now we see we got to take the diet out of the house and let the kids take that to the school too, and to have their own sources and shit. Even if your child got to have like his little mini cooler on the damn field, when they pass the little Gatorade things around or whatever, you can still maintain your diet if your children are on a certain diet. It ain't got to be such a challenge when they go to school. So I bet I know a lot of y'all parents already doing that. But it's a warfare, man. It's a warfare out there, man. And I know we about to get ready to close out, but speaking of children, Masterpiece, what kind of encouragement and motivation can you give to those parents whose kids saying, look here, mama, I know you want to be a vegan, but you know, I want to eat meat. I'm going to eat meat. You know, when their kids get old, or maybe change the diet because they can buy their own food now. What you got to say about that, man?
Well, okay. Well, first of all, I want to address the brother's iodine question. Iodine drops. What do I think about it? I don't believe in supplementation. However, the drops of iodine are very, very disinfecting, and it's good to. I would recommend brushing your teeth with it. It definitely does a good job at sterilizing the mouth and the germs in the mouth, which is the first access way of pathogens. Okay, so we got to keep your mouth clean. So iodine drops are definitely good. I brush my teeth with it. But if you want that real iodine, then I would go and get some seaweed. Okay, because the seaweed, an organic seaweed, that's going to give you not only iodine but a lot of other rich nutrients, but it's going to give you an abundant amount of iodine. So you could do a YouTube or a Google search about what types have the highest amounts of iodine and get it from the natural source there. Okay, and now to talk about the question of, was it a child wanting their parents to go vegan, or a parent wanting their child to go vegan?
A lot of people email me all the time and they say, bro, Sanchez, I'm vegan and I'm eating right, but how can I make my children eat right? And I gotta be honest with you, Masterpiece. The best advice I give them people is watch some of these documentaries with them, like the slaughterhouse stuff and stuff. But I really don't know exactly how you make your child eat a certain way. Like you can't make them, and then I'm pretty sure if you try to make them, then the government gonna probably have some shit that you know how that gonna get. But how do you convince them? How, you know, a lot of parents want to know, you know, how do they convince their children?
I like the scare tactic, you know, showing them what's done to their animal friends, because I mean, let's face it, the if I don't believe many children know that when they say chicken, they're talking about an actual live chicken. Okay, so when we're talking to them about why we should change their diet, I think that a good place to start off is informing them exactly what they're eating. And then if that's not enough, like if you tell them, hey, this was actually a chicken, a living chicken, and you're eating it now, if that's not enough, then I would definitely show them the slaughterhouse videos, because the reason why I wouldn't do that first is because you don't want that trauma flowing through their veins, right? That fear. But it's definitely good if they are exposed to it, if they're not willing to see the logic of compassion. Because there's a lot of YouTube videos where the children are saying, wait a minute, this is a real octopus? And so but why is it here? Why isn't it alive? Like, I don't get it. Like, why are we eating this? You know what I mean? So, but another thing, I mean, depending on the age, another thing that I would take into consideration is that, you know, remember that you're the parent. I mean, who's telling who? What? I saw a couple, or this family. They were coming home from work, and they brought their kids to work because they have their own little business. And the baby was screaming. The kid was screaming, "I'm not getting out of the car! I'm not getting out!" And just kicking and kicking. And they were like, "Well, okay, we'll just wait here." They waited there for like 30 minutes, like arguing and trying to compromise with this child. And from my point of view, it's like, yo, get that kid's ass out of that seat and in the house, like be the parent, right? So the way I grew up was I can't leave the table until I'm done eating my food. And I mean, like, I know that like like I would be punished, let's say, for not finishing my meal because my dad made that meal and you know what I mean? He doesn't want it to go to waste and he wants to nourish my body. So if we're talking about, you know, we can't be like, oh, he just doesn't eat it. I mean, I give it to him, but he doesn't like it. It's got to be like more like, yo, you're eating this. Yeah, there's no ifs, ands, or but around this. Just like you go to school, just like I make you do your homework, you're eating this food. This kale salad I made for you, it's gonna make you feel better. You're not eating this. You know what I mean? You want to explain to them if they're overweight. You can try to explain to them that this is gonna, I don't know, how get them in shape or tease less. You know, there's many avenues that we can go for kids, and always remember that that kids get in fights with other children all the time, and they forget it like 2 weeks later. Like you can spank them or punish them, and a couple hours later they forgot about it. They're kids; they move on, right? So it doesn't take long to form a new habit for a kid. The earlier the better. The earlier the better. But remember, just be the parent, and you know, don't be afraid to go through those extreme measures. Show them the slaughterhouse videos, and yeah. But I mean, ultimately, no, I was gonna say ultimately you can't decide, but I mean, like you're the parent, right? So it's like the stuff that you buy and put in your household is gonna be consumed, and it may take a little while for them to not, you know, to question where the Oreos and why can't we have this and that. But if you don't buy it in your house, then how are they going to eat it? The only places they can eat it is out on the road or whatever, and that's their own. You know what I mean? You can only go so much. You can't monitor them that far. But I mean, definitely, it's about what you have in your house. If you like Oreos and if you like bacon on Sundays or whatever, but you're trying to preach something to your kid, then maybe you should be the lead by example, or at least hide those things away from your child. But definitely don't take a back seat and let the child justify and dictate what kind of food you're going to be buying for it.
Hey, you make a lot of good points to the parents out there. There you go. And like he said, ultimately, they're their own human. They're gonna grow up, and you know, But what he's saying is, don't you know, give it 100% though. Give them a challenge with it. If you know, hell yeah, that's right, man. I like that because I was in the military. You feel me? Like you're right. Be the parent, because you know what I see a lot of going on today, Masterpiece. When it's time to eat, the mama asks the children, okay, what y'all want to eat? You know, and the children really just choose what they want to eat today. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's very different than I guess how you grew up, but that's definitely how different how I grew up. I didn't have a choice. I mean, like if they said, my parents said, hey, we're making callaloo and fried dumpling tonight with green banana, we either say yeah or oh, and if it's oh, then my dad says hey, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, we're eating it, and then we're at the table. My sister doesn't want to finish; she's crying because she just wants to leave. She doesn't want to eat it. She's not going anywhere. Like, you got to get these greens in you. You gotta eat what I made, and you're not gonna ask me what you know. I'm not gonna ask you what you want. The way I grew up was the parent cooks a meal for me and I'm thankful for it and I eat it because I'm thankful that they made it. And things are changing these days. You know, you can't, you know, just this, they're retarding our children. They're slowing their growth down. You know what I mean? They're not as independent as they were. Back in the days, you'd have, you know, 13, 14-year-olds that know how to drive, has had work, you know, has street sense, you know, can scrounge up a couple bucks and go to the store, this friend. Nowadays, There's no kids in the street. No kid knows how to do anything. They're playing their video games. They look feeble, and they're very immature at a very later age. You know what I mean? So it's, yeah, we got to take back the reins here. We got to be the parents.
Yeah, man, a ton of jewels dropped in this one, man. I think I don't have no more questions for you concerning today's topic, but I do have some questions on you, and I want to ask you something. Well, some things I would like to hear you touch on in later series. What's the importance of sound health? Meaning, okay, your child is a vegan. Your child eating good. Your child drinking alkaline water. But your child is a Nicki Minaj fan and a Tekashi 6ix9ine fan. How is important is that part of the health, what we take in our ears as opposed to, will we be getting into that later in these, or is that important?
Yeah, we're gonna get into everything. These streams are gonna go so deep that we're gonna get into everything on the external and the internal, and we're gonna figure out how to neutralize the external from affecting your internal, and how to allow your internal to dictate your external, heal itself, not prejudge, not preconceive, have clear thoughts, clear mind. Because it's very rare that a person that doesn't eat meat, doesn't eat dairy, meditates and has crystals around the room, it's very rare that that kind of person really loves to listen to that kind of trash on their spare time. So we're definitely going to go into that. And I see in the comments also, they wanted to get into the fasting, and that's very important. But the fasting itself is like a whole topic. I can't just say, yeah, fasting is good, and then I'm out. Okay, but on that note, fasting is good. I mean, it's beneficial. Two things that I want to say before you get any more questions off, or we begin to wrap up on water, is we should always be peeing clear. Okay, we don't want gold pee. It's okay if we do, but because, you know, sometimes you have a lot of minerals or whatever, vitamins, and it's being flushed out. But you don't ever want dark yellow deep pee that it smells. You know what I mean? It has that kind of funky, maybe like bubbles at the top, fermented kind of smell. Okay, the things that come out of us is a direct indicator of how we're doing in there. If you have BO, now we all have an odor that comes out of our body, but some of them is worse than other people, and some of them is worse in your life now than it was. Okay, and you'll notice the more salads and watermelon, the things with oxygen in it, like plants, leafy greens, the more things you eat like that, the less you'll need deodorant, and then the less you'll smell, and the less for women, the odor that's produced, you'll notice it getting better and better. And we when we pee dark, that's basically. Have you ever had a pee that burns? That's that concentration of these minerals, of these toxins that are trying to come out. You want to dilute those heavy minerals and metals. You want to dilute that with water. Okay, so you want your pee to be clear. Now your clear pee is still going to have toxins in there that it's eliminating, but you don't want it to be yellow, and for kids especially, right? On that point, there's a lot of people saying this urine therapy. We are not in a state of health to depend on urine for our therapy. Anything that is eliminated by your body is not needed by your body. Hence, it just eliminated it. You know what I mean? It's waste. Your sweat. If urine therapy is so great, now don't get me all the way wrong. There's always a half truth, but the wise always looks at both sides of the coin. because you're gonna look up urine therapy and say, oh, it cured me of this, and now my gallstones they disappeared and all that. But you have to look at both sides. Some cases it helps people, but does it bring them absolute health? Is it washing away their fat deposits? Is it bringing out those pharmaceuticals? Okay. Now, if drinking your pee is good, why don't we lick our sweat? Like, you're on the court, you're not licking your sweat. You don't wipe your brow and lick it. You don't sweat in your sweatbands and then like squeeze it out and suck on it in your mouth, because yes, there's a lot of minerals in your sweat. Yes, no doubt. But it's perspiring out of you because there's toxins in it and it has to get out.
Hey, you's a funny dude, man. Yeah, like, yo, throw me that headband, B. Give me that cup. What you doing? You right, though.
Yeah, sweat therapy.
Right,
Yeah.
man. Yeah, that's something.
And then the other thing, the last thing that I guess I wanted to talk on while we're doing this water is fasting, okay? Because somebody brought it up and I was just talking about it. We have to do an episode on it. But when you fast, what's happening is this, okay? You're eating. You're eating all the time. You eat, you wake up, you eat, lunch, dinner. Your body excretes what you just ate, but never all the way. There's always some trace amounts, okay? There's some getting stuck in your veins and your arteries and in your colon ridges. There's traces of feces left behind in your stomach. So there's not, it's not like a real elimination of what you just ate. There's always something hanging behind, okay? Your body wants it gone. Your body is like grass continuously growing. And when you are eating, you're just letting that grass just grow. But as soon as you detox, you're cutting the grass, you're cutting the lawn. And all the filth that was caught up in the grass or your body is now being cut and sent out the trash. It's being excreted, okay? The layers of your mucous membrane inside, the woman's layer of her womb, continuously being shedded, cells repairing. You're always trying to live. That's what the body's doing. When you fast and you stop taking in the food that's clogging you up, immediately your body goes into like metabolism mode, where it's just breaking down everything. And then you get the stomach aches, your stomach is shrinking and it's shedding off the dead cells and it's trying to renew you, okay? The water is so important on that fast because you need a river going through you constantly to take those poisons and those toxemias and flush them out of you, because your body did what? It just scraped off the layer, right? It's like scraping off layers of paint. You're scraping this paint, your body, okay? Say we're in the colon, okay? And we're scraping the paint. There's gonna be a huge pile of paint dust and flakes on the floor. If I don't have water to continuously rush it out, then it's just going to build up and be garbage, and you're going to feel sick, and you're going to say, oh my God, I can't believe I fasted. I'm never going vegan again, and all this and that. And that's when you cave, and then you eat again. But if you can make it past that and with water flush it out of you, you're going to feel a lot better, a lot quicker, and it's going to be a lot safer for you, because you don't want those minerals building up. Now, there is something called a dry fast where you don't use any water, okay? So you're fasting for, say, a day or two, and you don't shower, you don't brush your teeth, and you don't drink. Nothing with water, no contact with water, because what's happening is it's like your body's like wringing out a towel. It's being extremely constricted, and the poisons are getting out a lot faster. I don't recommend dry fasting to someone who's not experienced in fasting or who doesn't have an alkalized body. Okay, so if you're new to this, start with a 1-day fast where you drink just water. And then go back to your food. Go back to the food you're eating. And then do it again for 2 days. And then go back to the food, but clean it up a little bit. And then do 4 days fast, and then go back to food, and then clean it up a little bit more. And that's how we can safely fast. But fasting itself has to be a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, I agree. I agree on that. Yeah, I don't have any more questions, my brother Masterpiece. I think this probably be a good place to and first of all, let me say this. Shout out to everybody that's watching, man. I really appreciate y'all support over here with this green streams, man. Oh, you know what? Do you want to take some questions before we get out of here?
I definitely do, because I think that's more personal for the people.
Yeah, let's definitely do that. That's what we should.
Okay, cool. Well, let me take a quick bathroom break because I've just been drinking so much water here. I'm about to burst.
Cool, go ahead. You good.
All right, you entertain the people.
You already know it. Man, what's good, y'all? What's good, DZ? Joey Seal, what's up, my brother? Toro, Bravo, something else, I see it. It's good to see all y'all over here supporting, man. Real talk, fire starter, one world, one hood. So we about to accept questions. Y'all can go ahead and I'll put the questions now. I see somebody said, how long are we going to talk about water? Well, this show was centered around water, and I think we tackled everything on it, but it's called Green Stream, so it's pretty much all things health. As you can see, we've been bouncing around, so it ain't just totally all the way been about water, but that's been the main topic, of course, yeah. To whoever asking that, you know.
Yeah. I'm back. What's up? Yeah, this episode's about water. The last one was about air. The next one, we're going to go deeper and deeper on different levels. So, yeah, I'm back, and I'm ready to take questions.
Have at it, guys. Go ahead. Masterpiece, first question. Is spicy food okay or bad?
Well, spicy food is obviously good to kill pathogens, little bacterias. It's really great. If you want to gargle with cayenne pepper when you get a throat sore, it's going to do the same thing as the salt. So, yeah, it's good. Let's remember that a woman's stomach lining is thinner than a man's. So the spice for a woman may be a little bit more injurious, maybe a little bit more harmful, maybe developing some ulcers in that region. So enough spice to get the blood going and to get those pathogens, keep those pathogens at bay. But a lot of times people spice their food to the point where you can't taste the food. This again is a form of kind of like an addiction, where the substance you're taking is leaving you in a deficit, and now you're always trying to replace it, and it's never enough. That gram turns into a quarter, and then that quarter turns into a half ounce, and that, you know what I mean? You just go up and you get that immunity up, right? So definitely spice up your food, but just keep it moderate. I mean, it doesn't need to be overly spicy. You don't have to compete with anybody. Someone gives you a Jamaican patty, and someone tastes it and they say, it's not spicy. Say whatever. Like a lot of people, I find it comes like a competition with the spice. The spice is very good for shaking up. Like if you had lemon juice in the morning and you took that with cayenne pepper, that's a pretty famous little breakfast thing. Lemon juice and cayenne pepper. those are great things that are going to alkalize the body and really break through that mucus and the oils, right? But other than that, if you're over spicing your food all the time, then I think that you're gonna run the risk of kind of thinning out your inner mucous membranes of your stomach. And if you're a person that has a sensitive stomach and you're trying to fast and get better, then maybe the spices should be taken out completely. But I mean, me personally, 50% of my dishes are spiced.
That's what's up, man. I got another one from the brother something else. I hope that answered the last one. Got another one for you, MP. Is it safe to drink Pedialyte for a kid before and after a game? Pedialyte that don't sound safe.
Yeah, Pedialyte. If I'm not mistaken, it's like that. Let me see, Pedia. Yeah, it's like those shakes. Pedialyte. It's got yeah these things. Once again, I mean, me personally, my child has never drinking anything out of a bottle like this, like you know what I mean, like Tropicana or apples juice or something like that, just water. Because you don't need any of this. What is it? Like, I mean, not what is it, but I mean, your body, when you drink that, your body says, what is this? It's been fortified with zinc and all these minerals. And this isn't something that I'm just pulling up and I find out and I'm making this diagnosis. When I go into Nature's Emporium, there's tons of these kind of stuff. Infamils and all these other types of gummy, like you know, gummy bears with vitamins in it. It's just the same thing in a liquid form, but the minerals aren't liquid. It's just a lot smaller. You can't see it. So yeah, it's all crap. It's all going to dehydrate you. When you drink this stuff, you're gonna be you're gonna be left feeling dehydrated. That's for sure. And it's unnatural. So you're actually running the risk of later on in life developing more ailments. You know what I mean? Because these little phytonutrients and chemicals, they're going to be stored away in whatever fat deposit or mucus deposit your child has currently. And so yeah, so just keep it natural, guys. Just keep it natural. That's the thing. That's the beauty about the creator and creation, is that everything is so simple. And the medical world tries to make it so complex that you have no faith in healing yourself. And that's why I'm doing these streams, because I'm saying your body creates, it synthesizes everything you need as long as you get it right. As long as you get your body right, you detox, you'll be good. So don't feed your kids this stuff or Infamils or any of that kind of stuff, these colorful traps that draw your children in. It's unfair, really. So that's my answer for that.
Yeah, man, I'm glad that they asked that, because I never really heard of Pedialyte, and I see when you put that up that's a huge little colorful market that they got going on. I see all them flavors and crap like that. Yeah.
Russians made upon the water are.
Hey, let me ask you something else too to tie in with the Pedialyte. Who was it? Deezy, my brother Deezy Flat Power. He said, do you recommend children vitamins? I think he answered that one with the Pedialyte, but you want to touch on that one because that would fall in the same type of bracket. And I'm gonna tell you right now, my parents did give us Flintstone children vitamins when I was little, and they thought that they was doing such a great thing. What you think about children vitamins, Master P?
Wow, it's a multi-million-dollar, if not billion-dollar industry. You know, Jameson vitamins. Let me tell you guys something, man. I'm gonna cut my camera on for this because I get mad about this, guys. There's nothing that probably fires me up more than this in the supplementation and the vitamin sector, guys. Okay, where am I gonna start this? I'm gonna start this by saying, first of all, I grew up with those vitamins too, the Flintstones, the purple one, and then you suck them, right? You suck the grape or the orange, and you see these little rocks in your Flintstones, and you're like, damn, yeah, that's my vitamins. There's those little rock vitamins in there. It's making me feel better. My parents say, oh, we're doing a great job. Our kids get our vitamins. But there's one problem with that, is that it is so removed from nature that your body has no clue what to do with it. Like no clue what to do with it at all. It is a fractionated product. It's like giving you a slice of the pie, and then your body has to figure out what the rest is. You see, in order to recognize or digest something, your body has to sometimes arrange it in such a way that it can move it through you. So if it's missing, if it's like heavily weighted in calcium, say you're taking calcium, right? Well, calcium, it doesn't fire off, and it's not bioavailable without magnesium. I think you need like a 2-to-1 ratio. So you need the magnesium is what's really building the bones. And so you're taking these calcium pills, and your body says, well, shoot, to neutralize this calcium, this huge calcium molecule, I need to give it some magnesium, or else I don't know what to do with it. So where does it get your magnesium from? Your bones. So you give your kid, and I'm not harping, I'm saying like an example is, you would go and give your kid a vitamin, and it has calcium, manganese, potassium in it. It goes into your body, and because it can't do anything unless it's in a proper structure, your body marshals forth nutrients from your own bones and tissue in order to complete it, to make it something that it can actually use. Anytime you give someone something that is fractionated or incomplete, not a whole food, it's going to cause a deficit. Like I just talked about, your body's going to have to give something up, and then you're going to become addicted to that thing. Now, fortunately, vitamins aren't so potent and so off base that it's going to leave you fiending and scratching out. You know what I mean? Like a crackhead or something like that. But it's going to put a stress on your organs and on your blood and your glands. Okay, I am totally against vitamins, and I have to say the study. I have to tell you guys about the study. They planned to do a 10-year study on the efficacy or the efficiency of vitamins. Okay, Jameson vitamins. Okay, and Jamesons are the worst, but they got like the biggest stock, I think. They had cancer patients. All of them were cancer patients. And they divided the group, and they gave half of the group of cancer patients vitamins, Jameson vitamins, multivitamins. And then they gave the other half of the group sugar pills, sugar, something that actually promotes cancer. They had to stop the study, I think in 6 years. They had to stop the study early because the cancer patients who were taking the Jameson's multivitamins were actually getting worse, while the cancer patients with sugar pills, something that promotes cancer, were actually getting better. Not only does this give us insight about how powerful the mind is, but it also lets us know about how inefficient and destructive multivitamins are. Because the multivitamins were said to be good, and the sugar pills were said to be multivitamins. But when they had them, the multivitamins, even though they were thinking, the people were thinking that I'm going to get better, it made them worse. While the people who were thinking I'm going to get better with the sugar pills actually got better. So that I mean, case closed. Vitamins, no. Everything you need is in nature. An apple has thousands of phytonutrients, okay? And then your body can synthesize its own vitamins after that. Your body's amazing, people. Don't worry too much about your kid. Like, worry about the bad stuff, the tap water and the packaged food and the soy. But when it comes to what your child is actually eating, like the simple apples and the grapes, don't let them scare you by saying that you need the omegas and you need the protein and where you're going to get all this stuff that's thrown out to you to keep you confused and lost. Because I mean, you look at any vegan eaters children with a simple diet, and they're just fine. They're just fine. Look at the deer, they eat the twigs. Look at the cow, they're huge. They eat the grass and they're just fine. What omegas, what protein, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you that's facts, man. That's deep about the vitamins, though, that they actually, that evil that they basically sucking the magnesium out these kids' bones, man. Oh man, like it's really a warfare on us, and that explains like a lot of the rise of like a lot of bone diseases and bone stuff that's going on in these children and societies that take the most vitamins, like the children that don't take the vitamins that live out there in the third world countries. They got other kind of diseases that's often a result of like, us most of the time, stuff like that. But I'm just saying, it's amazing that we're the vitamin driven societies and we got the highest numbers in the crazy health diseases and stuff.
Yeah,
So,
it's crazy. In the North America is we're the highest consumer of dairy. Okay, now dairy is supposed to give you calcium. Calcium is supposed to do your bones good. We just talked about how an unfacilitated calcium without magnesium is going to wreak havoc, right? So, what's crazy about it is we are the highest dairy consumers, and we have the most amount of supplements for calcium. And we have the highest number of hip fractures amongst the elderly. So we're consuming dairy because it's supposed to be good for our bones. We take, but yet we have the highest amount of hip fractures and the lowest bone density. So then they tell us to take the pills and the supplements for osteoporosis. But I thought we were supposed to get that from the dairy. So you guys, I think you guys are now seeing how much of a farce it is and how blind they got us concerning vitamins and minerals and stuff.
yeah, that's deep, man. That's a couple of questions out here. Let's see. Somebody said, why do they consider the tomato a fruit? Oh, okay. Yeah, it's a lot of different things that should be considered fruits, and some should be considered vegetables. But that's part of programming, I think. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. Nothing much to say about that other than when we talk about vegetables, we can talk about, okay, you say a vegetable like a parsnip or a radish, okay? And then it's got some components to it. That parsnip or that radish was underground, a tuber, maybe like a potato, cassava, and it grows up above ground, and then it has the other component, which is the leaf part. So like the green leafy vegetables is what you call it, right? Now, that is obviously a vegetable. But when you go to something like a tomato or a cucumber or a bell pepper, you say to yourself, "Oh, that's a vegetable," because in the cooking world, that's how it all developed. In the cooking world, the tomato is a vegetable, and the cucumber is a vegetable because they're not sweet, they're not overly sweet. So when you say, mix the vegetables together, you know that you're making a dish that's not going to be like a jelly preserve or something very sweet that you can actually put on the main dish and not at the end, while you save the fruits that are sweet for the end of the meal, right? Which is backwards, by the way. We should always eat fruits first because they ferment and break down in your stomach first. So you don't want the fruits on top breaking down and fermenting before, you know what I mean? So in the culinary terms, a tomato, cucumbers, things like that, they're actually, and zucchinis, they're actually vegetables. They're coined vegetables. But when we're talking about health and what we should eat first in the morning, then anything with the fruit, with the seed inside is a fruit. So zucchini, eggplant, bell peppers, tomatoes, these are all fruits, and they'd be fine to start the morning with. You hold on, just gonna take this because it's a little loud. You can keep playing them. So the fruits are good. Like you eat bell peppers in the morning, that's great. Tomatoes in the morning, that's great. And then the vegetables are dense and have less water nutrient value, but they have a scrubbing quality, okay? So the fruits, literally fruits, not the culinary terms, the tomatoes, the oranges, they're fruit acids, the sugar, which promotes alkalinity. I know it's confusing, but that actually breaks down mucus and plaque, okay? Like you put orange juice on your stove and lemon and you wipe it away and it's shiny. But the vegetables should be taken later in the day when your engine has warmed up, and that's going to act as more of a scrubber of the colon. So you got the fruits that emulsify and chemically break down the fats, and then you got the vegetables which broom and sweep out and scrub out the intestines, and that's how you want to use the two.
I think that's a good way to look at it. As far as eating to clean up the body, man. You know what I'm saying? That's a good way to look at it. I like fruits in the morning, so I think we naturally supposed to eat fruits in the morning. We notice that's what we serve for breakfast, what we call breakfast, which leads to another question of mine. But I'm gonna go to the chat after that one. When do you want to break your fast? If we sleeping, we going to bed at night, the body's fasting. When we wake up, do we want to eat right away?
No, never. You always want to wake up, have some deep breaths, cough, cough out any mucus that has been like loosened up the night before. Because when you're breathing, you're expanding and contracting, right? So it's giving it a time to really shake off the mucus. So wake up, give a good cough, breathe through one nose, one nostril, then the other. You know what I mean? Really, and then get yourself full of the air. And then go do your thing, like catch up on the news or do whatever morning routine you have. But the first thing that you should have into your body through the mouth is water, okay? Now, if you're a coffee or a tea drinker, that's good because it's still a liquid. So the first thing, breakfast should be liquid. It should be a liquid, a light liquid. And if it's a tomato soup, then maybe there's a little too much ingredients in there. But if you stew up some tomatoes and like you have the water, or if you have a watermelon, you know what I mean? Something super, super watery. These are all good things. But the first thing you should have in your body is water. And then after that, get denser and denser and denser. So you have like a watermelon, and then tomatoes later. Then you have some beans later. You know what I mean? And when do you want to break your fast? The best time scientifically, I would say, is around 3 or 4 p.m. Like I know it's weird because it's like, whoa, I mean my breakfast. When do I? But if you're doing like an intermittent fast and you have like a 1 meal a day and you're trying to fast that way, that optimal time would be when the sun is still out, charging up your metabolism, and at around 3 or 4. Okay. So yeah, water first thing, and the last thing too before bed.
You know, when I hear you say this, it's almost like you spend the majority of the earlier part of your day preparing the body to consume the meal. And that's a good way to look at it, man, because you know, I know a lot of people wake up and they taught us that the first thing you want to do is get a good breakfast, you know, to have the power up for the day. And to hear that, you know, that's something that I know a lot of people may disagree with, but you know, it make a lot of sense to me, man.
Definitely. Like, I mean, we grew up knowing that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But if you kind of decode that a bit, then what they're saying is the first meal that you break your fast with, the first substance that you break your fast with, is the most vital. It's the most crucial to your health. It's not about wake up and have your Cheerios, your orange juice, your milk, and a piece of toast with butter. That's not, you know, load up for breakfast and then go to school. You know, it's about like 15, 20 years now where you guys probably have noticed a shift where these kids are going to school with no breakfast. 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. You think a kid would ever leave their house without eating a square meal? Nowadays, kids are like, oh, I don't even eat breakfast. And and the parents are like, oh my God, like she doesn't even eat breakfast. I don't know. And she goes to school and I worry about her. I don't know if she's going to make it through the whole day or if she has enough energy. The thought that you should stuff your kids up like they're going camping and send them off to school so that they can slowly break down, that gives them that energy to last the whole day or at least till lunch, is the complete wrong idea. The complete wrong idea. Because if you wake up in the morning and you eat too much food, you're just going to want to go to bed again. You wake up in the morning and you don't have any food, you're not tired, you're kind of hurting, you're alert. You're like, oh, you know what I mean? Like I'm in pain, I'm uncomfortable if you're not used to eating. Now, if you wake up and you're a person that just doesn't eat breakfast, or maybe you have your morning coffee or your tea or your water and then you go to work, you're the kind of person that probably just works right up to your first break, maybe goes out for a smoke and works all the way up to lunch, and then maybe has your lunch then. You can make it so far into the day until you actually succumb to that hunger. But like with your kids, when you send them off to, if you're the type that wakes up and then your kids are out of the house, then send them to school with their water and their grapes and melons, and then when they're going for lunch, something denser to hold them off, you know, maybe like a sandwich with some nut butter and maple syrup or something like that, you know what I mean? So breakfast, a heavy breakfast, never solid food at breakfast time. I don't care if you wake up and you grab this and you go, and then you wait about 10-15 minutes before eating. That is sufficient enough to wash away what your body's detoxed the night before. So always water, people. The big breakfast is going to shorten your lifespan. Facts.
So there you go, parents. That may be why some of your kids is falling asleep in class. You know what I mean? Trying to break down all that shit, you know. But I'm gonna go to the next question. Shout out to everybody that's tuned in for this. Shout out to the sister Rula. She says, is B12 necessary?
Capital letters, no. N-O. I mean, this medical world, the audacity of this medical science. You know, you could love your wife and then she leaves out, like, you know, like you continuously see her maybe not clean up after her dishes, and you love your wife, but then you look at her and you say, well, you know, she does do this, and you know, she really does bother me when she says that, and now that I think of it, I can't stand when she does. You can always find something within someone or something. If you study it long enough, if you grill them hard enough and long enough, you can always give yourself a reason to find something that you don't like about that person, or the opposite way. You can, you know, find something that you really do love about that person and obsess about it. But why I say that is because it's like, you know, this food, the world has like this vegetarian movement. All these books about fasting are coming out, you know, 30, 40 years ago, and we're getting better. And the meat industry, you know, slaughterhouses, the doors are closing up, and they can't get the cattle for as much as they used to be able to get it for. You know, we're waking up. So of course the medical industry is going to throw out a B12. Oh, but what about B12? If you go plant-based and you bankrupt our meat industry and our dairy industry, well then we're not going to have anything left to sell you. So take this B12 so that we can keep holding on. Does a cow worry about their B12, or does a monkey worry about their B12? No. What is B12? Okay, yeah, what is B12? B12 is not like something that like calcium, where you can pick up this B12 and hold a piece of calcium or a piece of iodine or something in your hand. It's not like that. B12 is synthesized from microbacteria, okay? Now, you and I both know, Sanchez, we were talking about how people in third world conditions or in the jungle or whatever that eat off the floor and maybe not as sanitary, they outlive us, right?
Yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
Right, because there's microorganisms in the soil that's eating up the calcium and eating up the phosphates, and you know, it's neutralizing it, and it's excreting new types of molecular structures and compounds, new compounds for the soil, right? New gases for the soil, you know, if you compost, you know what I mean? So these microorganisms that feed off of like food fibers, one of their natural byproducts is B12. So they say, how do you get B12? Oh, you can get it a few ways. Eating an animal. Okay, but wait a minute. It's gonna you have to cook the animal, so you're gonna cook out the B12 and a bunch of other important minerals that, by the way, has already been used mostly by the animal. Like, if the animal eats grass and gets protein, it's gonna use the protein. So now what are you getting? If the animal creates B12 and the B12 is doing its thing and it's using it up, it's, you know what I mean, it's using up the B12, then what B12, after you freeze it and cook it and deep fry and whatever, what B12 are you getting? It's a lie. No, very, very, very few people get a blood test, then go plant-based, and then get a blood test. Most people go plant-based, and then they say, you know what? Everybody's talking about B12 and iron. Maybe I should get a blood test, after they've already made the switch. And then they say, oh, your blood levels are poor in this, and it should be this. Well, how do you know what mine should be when I've never even done this before? You know, not everybody's is the same, right? So, and not to mention the fact that once you go on a cleaner diet, you're releasing these things, so it's not stored up in you. You know, that's stored. They want to make it sound like you got this storage house and it's behind your arms, and when you need it, it releases out of you or something like that. So the B12 is also can be found in, oh my goodness, this girl. The B12 can also be found in things like fortified milks. You know, they say milk with B12. Okay, so you're synthesizing, you're getting microorganisms to synthesize this vitamin, and then you're putting it in a petri dish to put into my milk. So you're throwing off the ratio that we were talking about again. You're giving me something fractionated. Now there's another place where microorganisms exist. And this place just happens to have more microorganisms than the whole 100 trillion cells in your body. And that is your colon, people. Think about it. Science tells you, science, the almighty science, that guy, that mysterious guy, he tells us B12 is created by microorganisms feeding off of plant matter. Okay, so I eat a plant, I swallow it, and there's microorganisms in my stomach that do what? They eat the fibers and they create B12 for me to use, and the cows and the deers. So you create your own B12, people. When your body is in a good state and it's not overtoxified, you're going to be creating all the B12 you need, and so will your baby. Don't let them scare you into thinking that you are in a deficit because you're eating foods with more life in it.
Yo, you so right about the part two when you were saying like how they want us to convince us how the body works. Like, you know, it's stored up behind your arm or something, and the body just go and get it when you need it. Yeah, that is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Your body create these things, like you say, out of your own natural diet. You don't gotta go and get this particular chemical off a shelf and stuff like that. That's deep, because that just show you like how they extracting everything and kind of bottling it up, and just once you try to market this stuff, we ain't getting it in this natural state. And it's like, man, so many folks think they healthy. Yo, I know so many dudes that spend hundreds of dollars up in GNC, man. And I remember coming up, man, you know, we used to envy the guy with the GNC bag, and he'll pull it out like, yeah, man, this for this right here, and this one right here for this right here. And you got to get this vitamin right here for this right here. And you'll be like, man, you lucky. I'm going to go and get, you know, we thought that the GNC store was like the shit. But it's crazy though, like your body is the damn GNC store. It's just crazy, man.
Yeah, that's 100%. Thank you, Terry Seabrooks, for the donation. It really helps me a lot. I mean, like, you guys hear my daughter, I'm here, and I could be painting and doing all these other things to sustain, you know, my family, but I'm here with you guys, and I'm just so happy that you guys are like finding it worth it to send me, like, little old me, a super chat. You know, I'm floored, and I thank you so much. Terry Seabrook says, what helps sinus issues? If you check out the video before, I brought out this salt inhaler. It was basically like you keep your pink salt in it and you put it into your nose, and you inhale, and the minerals help to you know, work and sanitize and all that, open up your airways. But this is another great thing that you can do if you're having sinus issues. Your sinuses, they stay inflamed and blocked off because of the histamines, right? And then your body marshals these antihistamines to your nose, and it inflames it up because of this air that you're breathing, right? Because there's all these particles in it. When you blow, or exhale, you're exhaling the carbon dioxide. So the oxygen that you inhale causes your nose and sinuses to inflame and get stuffed up. And then the carbon dioxide gas that you exhale, it actually shrinks it down. Okay, it shrinks down the membranes so that you can breathe again. Okay, now I want you guys to try an experiment here on yourself. Taking a big deep breath, right? And then not through the nose. If you're stuffed up, take it through the mouth. Hold it so that we can take out all the oxygen out of it, and then, you know, just have that carbon dioxide left. So hold it, and then exhale through your nose. Now, when you exhale through your nose, cut it off, like stop it off, plug it off midway through. So if you exhale, okay, you want to hear that. You want to trap all of that carbon dioxide all up in your sinuses, all up in your nasal ways and your nasal passages. And you're going to hear clicking. It's going to hear it go. It's like your face is like transforming, or like, it's like it's decompressing. That's what it is. You're compressed, and then you blow out through your nose. Hold it. Keep the pressure on it. Keep the pressure in your head, and then wait like 20 seconds. And during that 20 seconds, you're going to be hearing your head just like pop, and that's going to be decompressing your sinuses. Now, another thing is you may want to find a friend who understands you, or a stranger who you can share anything with, and bring up your innermost fears, desires, letdowns, disappointment, and talk about what you want to talk. The flat earth, aliens, whatever's on your mind. Because most of us, we have people in our lives, but we don't always have someone that can listen to what we say and not judge, and fully understand what we say. When we talk about the moon and all these conspiracies, it's not often that we find people that are like, oh yeah, I heard that it's flat and that the moon is this much, you know what I mean? So what happens is we have all these emotions that come up, okay? We're a flow. We're a toroidal flow, okay? And these emotions that are brought up, these root emotions that are brought up through the root chakras, these earthly things, jealousy, worry, whatever, it's brought up and it's worked up, and you deal with it, and it's brought right here, your throat chakra, right? And you try to express it. Hey, there's a conspiracy, family. Stop eating the meat, family. We gotta, you know what I mean? You're trying to express that. When that flow, that outward flow of your emotions and your feelings isn't being pulled by someone, reciprocating it and pulling those emotions out of you and understanding, and so you can freely talk and just freely openly speak, you're going to get a blockage if you don't have that person that you can be open with. That's why a lot of times we're with our significant other or our best friend, and we go so deep and we start crying, and our nose just starts flooding. Our sinuses just start flooding, because finally I'm being understood. Finally, someone's listening to me and letting me get this out, get it off my chest, so to speak. So those are a couple things you can do for sinuses.
Hold on for 1 second, Masterpiece.
Peace, Tahiti Nafar, Tafar. Thank you very much for that super chat donation. I really, really appreciate that. Peace and blessings to everybody out there in the chat as well. I hope you guys are finding this very useful. And I mean, this is stuff that I've personally paid a lot of money for, to just, taking the different classes and getting the textbooks and whatever. I went to school for advanced arts, and then I transitioned into a year of business, and then I went into the hygienic sciences and naturopathy and whatnot. And so it's good to be able to seeing the information that I've accumulated being accepted, and I hope that you guys can take it and listen to these streams over and over again. Because you're only gonna hang on to like 7 to 11% of the information that was expressed. So watch this again, come back and watch it again, and so it can be, you can hang on to it.
Most definitely do that. And make sure y'all share it with everybody you know as well. Yeah, man, I don't see anybody uh asking any more questions. Look like they.
Yeah, it looks like everybody's like got that off their chest, except chest piece, which is what I like because they use the peace instead of IECE. It's peace, like love and peace, like masterpiece here. So chest piece, what's going on? You say, any thoughts on using crystals in your water? Which crystals would work better? And bro Sanchez is a crystal master, and he used to go in on videos about cleansing your crystals and which crystals are good for what. And I'm gonna say this much. I don't like the whole crystal business. I think it's like, you know, mining the earth for gems that typically just end up staying in a warehouse shelf or on a store shelf or something. I think that they're so powerful and so useful that we should have a market for it, for you know, real applications, and you know what I mean, in hospitals, in the classrooms, you know, not just like 20,000 in hundreds of stores just across the North Americas. It's like, hey, this crystal's for this, you know, that should be in the earth doing what the earth does with the crystals. But I love crystals, me personally. I do have crystals, and what I want to say is that the Himalayan pink salt, people, is a crystal. Okay, you get it. I mean, you can have a salt. Where's my salt lamp? I'm sure you guys have salt lamps at home. Baby, where's my salt lamp? Oh, that is a crystal. That is a salt crystal. And so, what works the best? Well, I mean, you got your amethyst and your citrons and stuff like that. But if you use the pink Himalayan salt, then you know it's not like a quartz crystal where you just drop it in. Now the crystals are going to structure your water, no doubt. The frequency that they're going to be able to transmute is going to structure your water for sure. This is a great way to get the crystal in your body. So so yeah, that's how I would answer that one.
Yeah, I agree with you, man, about a lot what you said about the crystals. I do, man. I love them. I got a ton of them. You know, about the market as far as having all of these crystals in the warehouse. Same thing with the water places. Like you got all these companies around here. You got these big tanks of water sitting up, like you said, losing its pH level. But it's one of them things where the market, you know, we got to have, I mean, you know, when the system crash, won't be no market for none of this stuff because we'll be back in nature.
Right.
You won't have to even do a lot of the stuff Masterpiece was saying, so to speak. So I hear what you're saying with the market, but like crystals is part of spiritual health, mental health, physical health, all of that. That's why the ancients worked with them. But and just, you know, in the natural state, you'll have a lot of crystals in your rivers and your water systems, naturally programming the water. You know what I'm saying? So that's another reason people do that, because we ain't in a natural state. So you may have to drop the stones in your shit, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And then you have a huge part of the market that, you know, that doesn't wash their crystals. They don't smudge it. They don't clean it. It's collecting dust on their dresser. Maybe they've lost it down a drain. You know, and they're continuously pulling it up. And like I said, like, and I agree fully with you. There's a market now, and when we get back to where we need to be, there won't be a market. Like, if we're gonna use these crystals, man, I think that it should be like all up in the hospitals, just like completely neutralizing those harmful frequencies. It should be all up in the kids' books and the classes, and you know what I mean. It should be really used. But now it's like a fashion thing, you know. It's like gold. It's like, you know, oh, who wore it the best, you know what I mean. So I hope to see that kind of like materialism of it die, and more of like how we use the crystal of it live, like, you know, actually using the crystals, cleaning taking care of it, knowing that you're one and the same. But yeah, yeah. So this has been a, I mean, wow. I mean, what else is there left to say, man? This has been a really great build.
Hey, it ain't too much to say, but we will have some crystal streams and all of that. Because one thing I want to introduce with the crystals is like magnetism. We be talking about how we can have the magnetic bracelets and all of that, because that's what the jewelry really supposed to be. Not just like, oh, don't this look good? It's supposed to be around certain pressure points on the body where the blood cross that checkpoint. The blood will be charged with certain qualities of the crystal. So we'll be getting into how you wear jewelry for benefit other than just I look good. And with that note, I don't have anything else to say, man. I appreciate everybody for tuning in, and appreciate my brother Masterpiece once again. This has been Green Streams, Bro Sanchez, Masterpiece. I'm out of here, my brother. You can go ahead and close this thing on out.
Okay, my brother, thank you so much for joining me today. I mean, I can't do it without Bro Sanchez here. I mean, like, I could, but I just don't feel like it would be as explosive. And really, I mean, I've been into this world so long, I kind of forget what questions really, what real people have, you know what I mean, on their minds. So Bro Sanchez, he'll always come in and say, hey, you know, I've always been thinking and wondering about this. And then he'll hit me with a question that I haven't thought about in years or haven't never thought about before. So yeah, so we're gonna let that brother go. We're gonna go on to the Bro Sanchez. What's that person's? Oh, he just left. There's a person that's going to, I think it's Back to Your Roots Herbs. He's going to be debating. Let's go over to that. Check that channel out. I definitely got to be there to support that brother. I just sent my email into the chat, masterpiece9@gmail.com. Please reach out to me, guys, because I'm not one of those YouTubers who will not get back to you. I will get back to you, and it's gonna be from me to you talking. Okay, I mean, if you have some questions you want to ask that are a little too personal about your family's history, you know, send them through the email, mastapeace9@gmail.com. All right, guys. Next time, I don't know what we're gonna be talking about next time, but we're gonna get into more and more deeper foundations of how to live and how you can heal yourself. And if Bro Sanchez was just going on about scammers in the community, and if you've noticed, I haven't asked you for anything. I don't want anything. All I want is your questions, your minds, your inquiries. I want your enthusiasm. I want you to take this knowledge back, and I want you to heal with it. I want you to heal your family, and I want you to grow. And that's all I want. And I'd just be so happy, because it makes our lives easier. You know what I mean? If one family can teach 5 of their offspring, and then those 5 can teach 5 of their offspring, man, it's just going to be an explosion of consciousness. And so, please share this video so that the health and can reach as far as it can, and that we can stop wasting our money on all of this pointless supplementation, and keep our kids healthy and out of the hospitals. And you know what I mean? So anyways, thank you very much, guys. I can't thank you enough. I mean, I could thank you 100 times. So thank you very much. Peace, power, and protection. Much love. And I see everybody out there. Back to Your Roots Herbs. No. Back to Your Roots Herbs. I want to say this. I thought somebody was going to be debating about flat Earth. Maybe it wasn't you. Oh, I think it was Shinobi. Shinobi up next. Yes. Thank you, DZ. Flat motherfucking power. Back to Your Roots Herb. Much love, much respect, and everybody out there, all the regulars and all the people that are new. Much love. I can't even. I mean, Rue, La, Joey, Sil, Huey P. You know, Jorge Garcia. I can't get to everyone. Your sweet place, Lady Legs. Thank you so much. Spread this far and wide. Email me, and join us next week, next Thursday, for our next show. And that is going to be, well, it's a surprise right now, but I hope that you can all join us. Peace.